Gig Gab, episode 475 for Monday, March 31st, National Crayon Day 2025. I know.
Who knew it?
Who knew?
Oh, man.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to Gig Gab, the show by, for, and about working musicians. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton, as usual. And our sponsor for today is actually a new sponsor. It's themlc.com. If you're a songwriter, music publisher, administrator, every month the MLC collects your streaming data and royalties from Spotify and Apple Music and then matches that money and sends it out. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. For now, my guest co-hosts today are 2/3 of the power trio that is Austin-based band Parker Woodland. One's the bassist, vocalist, and activist who's brought her message and music to South by Southwest and beyond. The other holds it all down behind the kit with power and precision. They deliver a live show so captivating that even I forgot there was an ASL interpreter on stage while I was watching them at South by. That's right, Erin and Keri Cinquina from Parker Woodland are here to give us the inside track on what it takes to successfully navigate playing showcases and beyond at South by Southwest. Keri, Erin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dave. It's great to be here.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. No, this was, I always say, and last week we did an episode about how to attend South by Southwest as an attendee. And so this week we're doing how to do South by Southwest as a band, as an artist. And it's always interesting how, as an attendee and someone covering South by, that I find myself at different showcases. You reached out to me and you know, pitched yourself essentially and said you should come see us play, which is candidly a great way to get people to come see you play. Like it turns out it worked. You played 9 gigs during South by, right? With 2 official showcases and then 7 satellite gigs. Is that right? Yeah. Did I get that right?
It was a big week.
It was a big week. Yes.
Well, I thought it was funny, Dave, when you told me that, you know, it struck you that I emailed to invite you. I mean, you were on the media list. I emailed the media list. And it is amazing to me how in this big, wide world of the internet, it does seem sometimes like we, and sometimes I include myself in that, but forget just like the old-fashioned person-to-person invitation. That is pretty much what works. And so I'm glad it worked and we got to meet.
Absolutely. And I got to see your show. And I meant what I said in the intro. You know, the Radio Day stage, which Josh and I talked about last week on the show, is one of, certainly this year, and it often, in most years, it is one of my favorite places to see bands because they make things sound good. The venue is more about music than it is about just being a bar and a party, which I really, really like. And this year they had ASL interpreters on stage. Much of the time, they were the most entertaining people in the room. They were like acting out the songs and like doing this whole thing and really personable. And I saw a lot of bands that were just like, you know, they could have been invisible on stage. I just watched the ASL interpreter. Halfway through your set was when I realized, oh, right, there's an ASL interpreter here today, too. As always, as there always is, you know, and you were an entertaining band, but it's clear you get all of the things, and that includes sending out an email. Do they give you the access to the press list as a showcasing band?
Yes. So every showcasing band had that spreadsheet. This is our second year as an official showcasing artist and our second year on a prominent radio station supported stage. Last year, we played on the KUTX Rock the Shores stage. So we had that same ASL interpreter last year. We love him. Yeah. But yes, I try to always, as soon as that list is out, how are you supposed to know? What are there? Thousands of bands? It's certainly at least hundreds of bands.
I think there were 1,100 this year.
Wild. Yeah. And, you know, we work so hard on our stage show. We believe so strongly. I loved what you said, something about like live music as visual art. So we want people to get to see it in person.
Yeah, well, yeah. It just amazes me that maybe I got to be careful what I wish for here. That I don't get emails from all 1,000 bands that are playing. Like, it's freely available to you. Why would you not send that out? Like,
Yeah. Keri, do you find the internet overwhelming?
Yes, at times I do. At times, I mean, we're all overwhelmed in our lives, and then adding on that is just, I can't. And let's, Dave, let me just tell you something. I don't know, Andrew and I don't know when Erin sleeps, because that woman does more we wouldn't have nearly what we have now. If it wasn't for Erin. I mean, let's just get that out of the way right now. The woman is just a one-woman machine. I don't know where you do it, Erin. My hat for you, but
thanks. Well, my screen is blurred, but I have a messy house. That's what I tell people. I sleep fine. I just don't clean. But the reason I asked Keri if the internet's overwhelming, and thank you, friend, is because I have all kinds of empathy for all my fellow artists. It's very hard to know and to make space in your life to promote your art. And some people are really good at TikTok, and I'm not there yet. We have like a basic TikTok situation going on. I aspire to more TikTok, but I'm not there yet. So, leaning into what feels authentic to you as an artist to be able to promote. And for me, that's that, really kind of personal invitations, making, just that kind of thing. And also it comes from, to Keri's point about, and I do get people say to me a lot, like, I don't know when you sleep, and like, oh, you're so busy, but it's not that. It's not like a busyness. It's, I just love this band so much. I love playing with Keri and Andrew. I love being part of the music scene in Austin. And as we grow, we aspire to be, worldwide. But the experience of connecting with people through our art and sharing messages of love and resilience and triumph through our art, like that, it doesn't feel like work most of the time, because I just feel so strongly about it.
No, and it's clear that all three of you understand that concept of live music as a visual art. You were, correct me if I'm wrong, but the day that I saw you, you were the first band to play on that stage that day. And I remember walking into the area where, you watched the bands for the Radio Day stage, and there weren't very many of us there yet, but that's normal. Like, this is a standard thing. It means nothing, but it's really easy to walk out on stage and look and see, okay, well, there's an area where there could be, 300 people and there's maybe 15, and walk out and kind of phone it in for a few songs and like, all right, well, we'll warm up the crowd. You did not do that. You came out and played like there were 10,000 people there. Mm-hmm. And within halfway through the first song, the place had filled up. People came in because that kind of energy is infectious, and you get it. And it was like, okay, yeah, this is a masterclass here, which started with the email that I got, by the way, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. That was actually one of our favorite parts of South by, and Andrew, our guitar player, is a big, big part of designing both the sound and the visual and energy. All three of us, when you're a power trio, like everybody has to bring it, right?
Yes.
If you want that level, but we talked about and really took a lot of heart this year. Both of our shows were open to, our showcases were open to the public. And both times we had that experience of where the music pulled people in off the streets, and the reactions we got from people, and just to see the crowd grow based on just hearing it and then coming in. So that was pretty cool. Did you feel that from the drum back there on the drum kit, Keri?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's playing for us it's what we do. I mean, it's like recording is great and all, but we all love the live aspect of it. That's where we get the most joy. Whether you're playing for one person, 1,000 or 10,000, we give the same energy, because I'm not going to speak for Erin, but for myself, I am truly who I am when I'm on stage with my drums, right? I am giving you who I am. This is me. And we're going to give it, whether it is just you, Dave, or if there's 10,000 Daves there.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So,
yeah.
and to see that,
you don't want 10,000 Daves in the world.
Well,
let me tell you this.
but
thousand people who get it sounds great.
Well,
but
yeah,
I mean,
maybe
like,
that.
You're seeing, like you said, seeing people come in, and they're not just like looking at you and going, oh, that's okay, and then walking off, but they get closer to the stage, they have a smile on their face, and they just kind of are bopping their head or they're tapping their foot, so you have them, and then it's your role to keep them, right?
Yeah,
it's not
right.
it's not bringing them in, but once they're there, you got to hold people's attention. And I don't at least I don't subconsciously think about that. I just play for the love of playing and the love of this band and the love of the music. And it's just exudes from us, I guess. And I don't think we have to keep, I don't know. Do you do that, Erin? I don't focus on keeping the people there. I just play. For me, I just play and it happens.
Yeah. I will say as the front person, I'm pretty aware of like my role connecting with people in the crowd and connecting with you and connecting with Andrew, because I feel that part of what people find compelling is they're witnessing the magic that the three of us have as a unit. And we're trying to also share that magic with other people. Right. So I do have some awareness of it, but anyway,
it makes sense.
Your interviewing job.
No, you're doing great. It's totally fine. I am reminded, and our listeners are probably getting sick of me repeating this quote, but Parthenon Huxley was on the show last year. I don't know if you know who Hux is. He took over, well, when ELO split in half and the not Jeff Lynne part wanted to keep playing, they needed someone to fill the role that Jeff Lynne would otherwise fill, and that's Hux. That's Parthenon Huxley. And he came on the show and talked about all of that, and it was a great interview. But he said one thing that was really interesting, and which resonated with me, which is, don't punish the people who showed up, right? If there's only 10 people there, right? It's what a great mindset to just kind of reframe everything as you're walking on stage. It's like, there's absolutely 10 people here. Thank goodness for them, right? Yeah. And then, as you said, if you can connect and pull more people in, if the vibe is that. So I just want to kind of explain that to the audience. South by Southwest, there are the official artists. There's 1,100 of them, at least there were this year. And there's hundreds of clubs and all the showcases that happen and are part of the South by Southwest official experience. But then there are lots of other places that host music throughout the week. And that's when I said you played 2 official showcases and 7, I called them satellite gigs. They're just really other gigs. That's what's going on. So you're in Austin, which gives you at least the potential to have developed some of the relationships that are helpful to have in order to book those satellite gigs. But I've also seen bands come in from out of town that aren't from Austin, and they'll play their one maybe 2 showcases and then also do 7 or 8 satellite gigs. What is the approach you take? When do you start kind of trying to put all that together so that you can have a successful week and really play as much and get out in front of this audience that's in town for the conference as much as you possibly can? How does that work? When does that start?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do the booking and management for the band.
Okay.
And I start kind of in the mid to late fall, reaching out to the folks, many contacts that we've had. Who have we played shows with at South by before? Who do I know puts on showcases? All of our radio station contacts, all of the like nonprofits related to music here in Austin. I also serve on the Sims Foundation Advisory Council, which is the musician mental health organization. I make it a point, because I love the community and also because it is beneficial to be involved and know the community, to just be involved all year round. So then in the time from maybe November, December to South by, having those conversations. But I mean, some of our shows we booked well in advance. One of them came up like 2 or 3 days before, the 101X Homegrown show that we were super pumped about and was definitely a blast. And I had to turn down maybe 5 shows. Like we couldn't do everything. And there's an ethic involved. We believe musicians should be paid. So also making sure that you're weighing, sometimes we do shows, as volunteers because it's mission based or, there's a reason.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But making sure that our time as artists is compensated, so there's a lot of variables, but it is a major booking effort, and it requires bandmates who are willing to carve time. I very much appreciate Keri and Andrew and the amount of time that they willingly put in, but yeah, it was big.
Yeah. Okay. And in terms of applying to be a South by Southwest, an official South by Southwest showcasing artist, that's just the normal process that anybody in the world can apply to and do all of that stuff. I mean, I'm sure you have local relationships that don't hurt, but
right, anyone can apply.
Yep.
And because we were official last year, and then as activists and part of the LGBTQ community here, we had also played South by Southwest Pride back in June. We got an invitation, to apply in particular. So the relationships can build
year over year. Of course. Yeah. I mean, that's how the world works. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Fascinating. And you may have sort of addressed this, but at what point do you find out when your South by Southwest showcases are, so that you can then start building this schedule of other things, quote unquote, around that?
Yeah, another great question. So the previous year, we didn't find out until just a few weeks, maybe a month beforehand. This year, we were in round 1 of showcasing artists announced. So we got announced and we got named in the paper and all that stuff back in maybe October. So that was wonderful because we knew that. But that said, you still don't know when your showcase is going to be.
That's what I mean. Yeah, when? Yeah,
a few weeks before. And we added that second showcase maybe a week or two before, Keri.
Yeah.
So some moving parts shifted even close to the time.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. All right.
It's like planning a tour, and not everybody wants to play 9 shows in a week. And we may not do that every year. Last year we played 3. Our goal for South by was to have our album mixed and mastered, and with a private link that I could take when I did industry meetings. Because I don't know if you talked about this in your last episode, but a big part of it is, there's mentor sessions, there's panels, there's, you can go to the media room if you set up interviews, all of that. So I did far more of that last year because we were looking for a label and relationships related to the album. This year, because we've had this really epic escalation from, we found a label after last South by, we put our album out in September, and we just had, yay, I know. We've had this crushing, for an indie band, we feel really good about, how the last few months have gone. We were coming off a residency at Hotel Vegas, and we got a Sonic Guild grant and played on this, the big Long Center stage in January, which was a huge thrill. And so for this South by, we wanted to kind of cap off our big release year with as many great shows as we could, because now we're going to hibernate a bit more and focus on the occasional higher profile show, not as many shows, hibernate a bit so we can be writing the next record. The downside of that was Keri and Andrew and I did not get to do the level of industry conversations that I would have liked. We got no free stuff. We don't. Did you get any free stuff?
Did I get free stuff?
If you go to the artist lounge on day 1, they have all the free stuff, but we never.
Oh yeah, no.
You didn't get any.
Didn't have time.
Yeah. So we were so busy playing shows, we couldn't go to a lot of the industry panels and mixers.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe next year we'll play 4 shows. We'll see.
You balance it a little bit. No, and that's a really good. I'm glad you brought that up, because there is more to South by Southwest than just the music showcases. As an attendee, I should say, as solely an attendee, that part is generally fairly obvious. For folks who have never attended and are in bands thinking, I would like to showcase there, that might not be obvious at all. And I think it's really important. Thank you for highlighting that. There are these sessions. There are these, like you said, these meetings that you can book in advance and take advantage of, these mentor sessions and label meetings and even just conference panels with people that you can go up to before or after the panel and get to know them and all that stuff. Like all the networking opportunities are open to you. You just have to take them. And it's easy, even attending as press as I do, I could just sit in my hotel room all week and do nothing. Like it is 100% up to me to leave my hotel room, go do a thing. Sometimes it's not, the most comfortable thing to go up to somebody you don't know and like start pitching yourself to them or trying to introduce yourself and all that stuff when there's 16 other people trying to do the same thing. But you're there. You'd made the trip. You might as well do it because otherwise, what else are you there for? So, important stuff.
Last year, I had a great experience where, we were working with someone on a very limited PR campaign, and she set up a couple interviews for me. One with like a local women's magazine, and because I had met that writer in the media room to do that interview, while I was there, you just naturally I met other radio DJs and reporters and ended up doing a couple other interviews just by saying hello and introducing myself. And then you never know who that reporter is going to be next time. The reporter from this small women's magazine became the music editor for the Austin Chronicle right at the time when our album was coming out. So we, really benefited from having that relationship. And the other piece of pro tip I would give for artists at South by is, you have to be right there when they open the registration for the mentor sessions. I've never been able to get registered for a mentor session either year, but people snatch them all up and then they don't always show. So if you just go stand in line at the mentor session room when you have time, I've never not gotten to go in and meet and do mentor sessions because there's just always room. So
amazing.
Another
that's a great tip. Huh. I never thought about that. I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. All right. Thank you. But this is how we get good at these things, is by talking to people who are, approaching it and all that stuff. It's amazing. All right. So are you a songwriter, music publisher, or administrator? If so, you need to know about our sponsor, the Mechanical Licensing Collective, or the MLC. They're a nonprofit organization that's revolutionizing how creators get paid their mechanical streaming royalties from platforms like Spotify and Apple Music in the U.S. Every month, the MLC collects the streaming data and royalties from those platforms, matches the money to the creator who has earned it, and then pays out the royalties due. With over $2.5 billion in royalties distributed and more than 50,000 members worldwide, the MLC is already making a huge impact. And the best part? Membership is completely free. Don't leave money on the table. Visit themlc.com today to sign up. Again, that's themlc, THEMLC.com. Visit themlc.com today to sign up. And my thanks to the MLC for sponsoring this episode. All right. So you clearly have been a band for a while. You're working on continuing to grow who you are as a band, musically, PR-wise, image-wise, all of the things that are important. I know you get accused of not sleeping, Erin, but really, how do you, as a band, prioritize where you're putting your energy and collectively kind of moving everything forward?
I've been talking a lot, so I want to give Keri a chance to talk
Great.
about that if you'd like. How does it work for you, Keri? How do you prioritize your time and energy?
Oh, man. Well, I focus on music is my thing. I've been playing music since I was 8. I've been in a rock band since I was 14. So it is what I love. I went to college as a music major. So music is just near and dear. It is who I am down deep in my soul. So that is just, it's just a no-brainer for me. I mean, I make time for music because that helps me get away from, the career that I have, my other, thing that I do, and it gives me my me time. It lets me be who I am. It gives me an outlet. Playing drums is just, the best outlet.
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, Dave?
Yeah.
But so it is a no-brainer for me. I make the time. Am I tired a lot? Of course we are. We all are, and we all have families. We all have, other things. We are not 18 and 19 years old with no responsibility, or a limited amount, right? So, but for me, it's just important because it's my mental health. It really contributes to that, and a big portion. So, for me, it's a no brainer. I make time, and that's it. That's all there is.
How often do you get together as a band? Like, are you rehearsing every week, Keri, or are you?
Well, Dave, if there's tacos involved, we will be there every day.
That's it. So tacos are the fuel to a successful band. Got it.
For our band. Band.
Yeah. So I can speak to that. So all the time. When you said, how do we prioritize though, Keri and I have been the rhythm section of a rock band together for a dozen years at least.
Got it.
We were the rhythm section of a band called Butch County, which we both love very much. Keri was even the drummer before I came on as the bass player. So part of our prioritization together between the two of us is that we know each other so well, and we're quite well in sync and really good friends. And I almost feel like sisters in a way at this point. And so that helps. And then Andrew and I founded the band with some other people 5-6 years ago, but this trio that you saw has now been playing out together. South by was our 2-year anniversary of playing out together. And
wow,
Andrew
that's it. Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. Because that was our debut full length that we put out in September. And but Andrew and I have been what I would consider like creative partners now for a little over 3 years. And we work together on this band every day. Like the only days that I don't see or talk to Andrew in a deep way are like he's gone at a funeral for a few days, or something,
sure, some big deal. Big
deal. I feel so fortunate and to have like a partner in both of these folks, and we each have sort of different roles. He functions as a bit of a music director, sonic director at this point. And so he and I talk a lot about what are the focuses at this time. Like at a certain time, we might be working with a vocal coach. So like harmonies and group vocals, because there was a time when we first got together where I only sang because we were focusing on the songwriting. And I mean, I played bass, but like no one else in the band was singing, even though I wanted that because I love group vocals. But we were trying to take things one or a few things at a time and sort of build the excellence of those things. And so now, for example, we're working on more vocals. We're thinking about the visual elements, like really elevating those, like what we're wearing, what's the next photo shoot, things like that. But you can't do it all at once, even if you want everything. And we have huge dreams for this band. Like this is the one band for the three of us right now and has been for a while. And we see it, we want to tour internationally, nationally, all that stuff, but you can't tackle every single thing at once. So we do have these like meetings where we're very intentional about, okay, what's the next piece of the puzzle?
Amazing. Yeah. And I was impressed with your harmonies throughout. I'm a singing drummer, and I love harmonies. Like harmonies are, they're a wonderful thing in so many ways, but they're also such a great way to elevate your band and really make a difference when people hear you, because it's locking in those harmonies. It's impressive when it's done right and when it's mixed right. And I think, Erin, you and I had this conversation after your showcase. I commented on your harmonies and said, yeah, for the first song, they were buried. But then whoever was mixing, the stage got the primary stuff, and I would argue that harmonies are a primary thing. But anyway, they got the primary stuff mixed and balanced, and then brought the harmonies up. Like they stayed at it until they really, certainly by the second song and probably halfway through the first song, it was all dialed in, and you could hear things, and it was great. And I really enjoyed the show in a lot of ways, as I said. But yeah, harmonies were one of those things. Yeah. No, you sing well together, and that is different than having three people who can each individually sing. It's clear that you've worked on your blend and figured out where each person sits best in the mix, and that's how. So let's get nerdy. How do you said you've worked with a vocal coach? You've added this, so this isn't something that just happened, which means you've thought about it, and you might be able to articulate some tips for people. So how did that come about? What was the evolution of those harmonies?
That's a great question. Well, of course, you have to think about what's going to be just a unison gang vocal, what would be elevated just by having one additional harmony, like Andrew at a time when he can do it while he's playing guitar. I love the way Keri sings, and we've sung together a little bit in Butch County. Neither of us were the lead singer. This is my first band as the lead singer. So I'm also learning as we go. But it's also, I can't even imagine Keri, how you sing and drum, or Dave, you said you're a singing drummer.
I am. Yeah.
You can tell us what that's like for you, but we try also to be thoughtful about when we ask Keri to do that, because it feels like it's probably a lot. Is it a lot, Keri?
I mean, it's only a lot because I move around so much. Not just, yes, my four parts are moving, but I just tend to move my body around a lot. So to have that mic right there and kind of be like plastered to it type of thing, I would rather not do that every song. So I'm always like, if this is a song that doesn't need me on it, then I'd rather not do that. And then others are like, I'm down. Let's do it. So I do it. That's how I look at it for me personally. So
I have some tips for singing drummers, and I know there's other singing drummers listening too. So I'll share. One, I wind up often being the primary harmony singer. There's some bands where I've been tasked with lead singing. I'm fine singing lead. It's not my preference. I'd rather be a harmony singer. But what I've found as someone who often, for the entirety of a gig, is singing in every single song, I use a boom stand with a gooseneck, and I position it so that it comes straight down in front of me. So it's right there, and it's always really easy. I have learned to use a short barrel microphone and a right angle cable so that my sticks aren't hitting the cable sticking way out in front now, right? Because of where that now logistically is. So right angle cables make a huge difference. Short barrel mic, I use a Heil PR31BW. I'll put a link in the show notes. I mention it because it's great with off-axis rejection, so it doesn't pick up as much snare drum and things like that. And then, of course, there are those singing drummers out there that are saying, Dave, are you going to mention headset mics? No, I'm not going to mention headset mics, but they are an option. Yes.
Yeah. I think the big reason I haven't tried the gooseneck thing, just because, like I say, I move around a lot and I tend to come forward, and I'm always afraid I'm just going to bonk my face on her. It makes me sit there kind of stagnant.
If you've got it on a boom stand, that when you hit it, it can actually swivel forward even. So you've got a little bit, right? If you think of it as coming up, over, and then the gooseneck is what brings it down. Now you've kind of got this swivel that you can either put behind you if you don't need it for a song, or it can sort of be wherever in front of you want it. It's again, we're all different humans. Absolutely. Our bodies are all slightly different. And so, you figure out what works. And of course, then there's our playing styles, right? And so you've got to, all of that comes together. But I can't imagine singing, turning my head to the left, like a lot of drummers do, which is, I think, if I remember correctly, that's what you do, Keri, right? Can't even imagine. I mean, I've done it, but to do that all night, it's like, oh no. I need to be able to.
And I've always done that.
It's amazing to me.
And like every now and then you're on a stage that doesn't allow that, and I had it on the right, and it was just so bizarre. Yeah. But I've always had it on my left like that, and then I can just swing it away, when I don't use it. But
Taylor Hawkins style.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Dave, what I don't, Erin's talking about, I don't know how Keri sings and plays drums. I think the hardest thing is singing, playing bass.
Agreed.
I don't know how, Erin, you do it. I don't know how any bass player, especially when they're the lead singer. That is magical to me. I don't know how you guys do it.
I think it's way easier to play drums than sing.
Absolutely, way easier.
Especially leads. Way easier to play drums and sing leads than it is to play bass and sing leads.
Yes.
Well, we can talk about that, because that actually was a thing that I wanted to mention. Before any of the things like the visuals or, I don't know, harmonies, anything, one of the things that we think the most about is the songs. Like, it all has to come from great songs. And then the arrangements, particularly for a power trio, and Andrew is just so great about talking about this and being real intentional about this, arranging them for the sake of dynamics. You saw us. Dynamics is a huge part of what we do. Like, we want emotional, dramatic, shared experience for people. And the dynamics are part of that. And so that includes arranging it so that I can, as a vocalist, give my all while also holding it down with the bass. So what that sometimes translates to is, it's not going to be the fanciest bass part or jazziest bass part ever. There are places where I feel like I'm getting to show my chops a little bit. But we are thinking about the overall service of the song.
Super smart. Yeah, no, I think that arrangement is a lost art, both in original bands and in cover bands. If I'm playing in a cover band, I always came from original bands. So I'm always thinking sort of with that mindset of well, we're the ones playing this. So if we want to arrange it so that it sounds best through the vehicle that is the 3, 4, 5 of us, that's what we should do. And I think it's lost a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a song you didn't get to hear us play, I don't think, Keri, I don't think we didn't do it at the Radio Day stage, but our most recent cover adventure is we do a Parker Woodland, punk indie rock version of Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I definitely didn't see that. I would remember that.
So we do, again, Andrew thought really hard about kind of what would it be like for the lead guitar to play the horn part.
Yeah.
Dun,
yeah.
Dun, dun, and it's a very interesting challenge. But we've had some fun, and also we've had some meaningful conversations about how do we choose our covers? Why are we doing a cover? What do we want to experience as musicians by choosing one? And what do we want the audience to experience? So hence, I think we did do the Clash. It's the Equals. We did On My Back for that show, which is, I did not realize what an experience that song was going to become for us. It really has become a special experience, I think, for our live show.
Yes.
Well, a lot of times as an original band, I think of covers as the vanity songs, right? You're playing the songs you wrote, and that's the job. It doesn't mean that it's not enjoyable, but that's the job. You go out, you play your songs, you do that. Mm-hmm. And it's but there's other songs that I love. Let me show you a song that we love. Let us show you a song that we love, right? And that, to me, that's more about the band than the original sometimes. Just because you're choosing it. It could be anything, and yet it's that. And it becomes a moment of celebration because your fans, new and old, get to say, hey, wait, I like that song too. Now I have something in common with these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a little bit more about you. And if you play it, and I don't mean just play the music, but if you perform it and play that role right, which of course you do, it invites people in, which is a great thing. So I don't know. I think about this stuff a lot. I'm a nerd.
Super cool.
And it's harder than you think to pick one. There's so many great songs that, especially we're older and, growing up in like the 80s, which just had the greatest music and stuff. And we have a playlist. It's all songs that we would love to cover. And it's a long playlist and then it's all of us sitting down thinking, how could we Parker Woodland this song?
Yes.
Right? Could we do that? And would that fit with us? And we struggle a lot with which one we're going to pick, so.
Yeah.
I play in a band called Bitter Pill, which is an original band. We have a Slack channel that's just full of cover ideas. Mm-hmm. And they just, we're on the free plan of Slack. So now they get expired after 90 days, which is helpful. Well, no, because if it didn't make the cut after 90 days, if somebody wants to bring it back, you're more than welcome to. But it's just like there needs to be some filter here, and that becomes our filter. But yeah, we've been playing a cover of Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill for a while.
Oh heck yeah!
And the other night we added My Generation to the beginning of it, the first verse of My Generation. Oh. We just realized, wait, this could work. And so, but that's how these things happen. So we might be the first band to put those two songs together. And if so, I love it. So
I love it.
Butch County did do Rebel Girl. And actually,
love that song.
Was that my first time to sing with a band? Because remember we did that show, Keri, and we all kind of switched instruments.
We did that. I was playing bass. Yeah,
I think I sang Rebel Girl, and
I think you're right.
And our lead singer got behind the drum kit. Did you play bass? What did you do?
I played bass. Yeah, I played bass and sang. Yeah,
amazing.
It was fun.
That was fun. So Rebel Girl might be the first song that I publicly lead sang for any band I was in.
Amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, at least we got
song.
that going for us. It is a great song. Yeah. And Emily and our band crushes it. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Bitter Pill is a great name. We'll have to look you up.
Yeah, bitterpillband.com. We call ourselves, well, a lot of things, but one of them is Haunted Rhythm and Bluegrass. And that doesn't come close to describing it. If you come up with a great description of what that band is, please tell me. Feedback at giggabpodcast.com. If anybody does, because we don't know, but we love what we do. So there you go.
We are into haunting for sure. That's coming up a lot as we're writing new songs. I would say our latest song is in that world of haunting. So I look forward to hearing what you've got going on over there too.
How often are you always writing new songs, or is it kind of an intentional thing where you say, now we're going to sort of take some time off from gigs and write new songs, or how does that work?
Well, I would say Andrew and I are always thinking about songs, and he's always writing things on guitar. I'm always singing things into my phone, almost always, or writing down ideas. However, I think he would like to be getting together and writing a lot more often. We've kind of, I think, come to a compromise of in some ways, if it were up to me, we might be in the Fiona Apple category where it's years before the next record because I have kind of a lot going on. And I'm happy with the record we made. I could play this record for a really long time. I didn't even say our record is called There's No Such Thing as Time. And I love it so much. And at the same time, I'm super excited about the new music. So we do get together and we work on things piece by piece at this point, every week. And then we bring things to Keri, and Keri shares what she hears, and it takes shape from there.
Do you arrange the songs generally as the three of you? Is that part of it kind of done collaboratively, or not necessarily?
Well, we're still finding, since this is we're just starting to write our second record.
That's fair.
We're finding that. Keri has some ideas for how a song might start. We might do a decent amount of arranging, Andrew and I first, and then do the next collective electric. Right now, we've been playing a few acoustic sets as well because circumstances have just called for that. It's Austin, there's all kinds of shows to play. And so we've done a few acoustic things, which is, you can imagine very different than having this full rock set. So one of the new songs we debuted acoustic, and now next week, hopefully we get to go into the recording space with Keri, or the practice space with Keri, and figure out how to make it electric. Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Fun. I love that stuff.
Mhm.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
exciting.
Amazing.
We are
Amazing.
pumped.
Amazing. Yeah, folks, go listen. We'll put links in the show notes, of course. But yeah, I love the sound. It's, you know, you're a power trio. I mean, it's rock and roll with your own edge. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
You.
Fun
We
stuff.
Thank you so much.
several music videos for this record too that I think do at least give some taste of our, you know, presence in person. It's not the full thing, but like I think if people watch some YouTube stuff, they'll get a little bit more of a taste of it too.
Yeah, and your whole set, the set I saw at the Radio Day stage, is on YouTube through South by as well. They did a multicam of that, so yeah, which is great. Yep, and you can probably even see the ASL interpreter if you wind up noticing them. So there you go. We're nerds here, and I realize our time is limited today. But is there any, like, you've shared some great tips? Is there any gear that you just love to use that you want to tell listeners about? Because we're all out there gigging and doing our things, and so Keri or Erin, if either one of you has any like gear that you love to use, share.
Hey, listen. I play a Tama set, and it is an old. I mean, I bought this set in 1990, I believe it was, and it's an old Superstar, so it has the deeper toms. And I have an SLR Babinga wood snare, the Tama snare that I bought. And those drum, I love them. I will never get rid of them. They record well. They sound great live. I use all Zildjian cymbals. And I use a click in practice, recording, and then live. And I, over time, have got a setup. And I don't use a computer. I'm not there. You know, I'm not at that. We're not there. I just have like the little Tama rhythm watch, right? But I have a whole setup, and I have a little 4-channel little mixer that I have made like a little pedal board for with a direct box. And so everything's plugged in, so I can, and with my in-ears, whenever I don't need to run my click through like the wedge XLR cable.
Sure.
I can, it'll just come up. So on those, when you play those really tiny stages that don't have anything and mic'd, I can still hear my click. And I just hear what's coming out of their amps. But when we have on a bigger stage where, you know, everybody has a monitor, everything's mic'd, then I just take that XLR cable and I plug it into my little mixer. And then because I like to hear everything in my ears. I like bass drum, you know, so, and I can control that volume with my little mixer, as well as through the sound guy, right? So,
Oh yeah, so you can balance what you get from front of house or from the monitor engineer, whichever, or both.
Absolutely, and
with
I just
your
have,
click.
I have a little Gibraltar tray, you know, that on a stand, boom, and it sits right to my left, and I have it on there with my in-ears, and it's like a game changer. You know, when I added my in-ears, and then I had a click, and I added them piece by piece. And that's been great. And then I use DW 5000 pedals and hi-hat and stuff. So
I want to ask, are you playing it when possible? Are you playing every show to a click?
Every.
Amazing. I noticed that most, I would say certainly the majority, more than 51% were of the bands that I saw at showcasing at South by were playing to a click, some using tracks, but some just playing to a click for the sake of playing to a click. And you're not just starting songs to a click, you're keeping it going through the whole tune. Is that right?
Right. And I am, and it really helps, but it also really helps when it's time to go into the studio and record, and you've already been playing those songs over and over and practicing over and over with a click. So you go into the studio and you're already ready to record, and you don't have that, oh, I haven't played with that. Now you're getting used to hearing that extra tone in your ear, and you don't realize how things kind of, you know, wane and wax just kind of in a natural way until you're forced to use that click. And so it's just a seamless thing, and it makes it easier and it makes it quicker to record. because I've already been doing it. And I think, with the rest of the band, and we're so used to it now of them, because I'm the only one that hears it.
I was going to
It's
ask.
not going through everybody else. So, but we've all done so well of staying with me and holding things back or moving things up or whatever. And it's worked out really well. And I've been using that for quite some time.
How was the adjustment for you, Erin, playing with a drum without hearing the click yourself, but playing with a drummer who is tied to the click? And I say that positively. Was that a weird thing to get used to, not being able to pull the tempo yourself?
Oh no, it's been amazing.
Okay.
And Keri didn't play to a click in our previous band.
Sure.
And this is my first band where we have the click. And I'll say I'll never forget when Andrew and I first started working together before we brought Keri in. The pandemic shook up a lot of people's band lineups. And so Parker Woodland was playing some shows where the lineup was, I was referring to it as a collective. So things were kind of fluid. So Keri did play a couple shows with me before Andrew even came in. And then Andrew and I did some, anyway, when Andrew and I were just figuring our stuff out before we then were like, we really need to bring Keri in. I remember him saying to me that like his goal would be for us to have as a band this like tightness and arranged sense of like just so together and reliable that then I, as a very physical, and if I do say so myself, like charismatic front person,
you are. Yeah, I'll say it. I'll second the motion. Yeah.
Third.
Room to lean, to like fall back. That's how he described it. To like fall back into them, to trust the band. Because I fall on my knees, I roll around on the ground. I have a song where I take the cordless mic, I put the bass down, I get out in the crowd. But the foundation of musical trust and stability is all there for me to then play within, and all of us to play within, and so that's been really, really, really cool.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I am a big fan of using the click. I mean, listeners know my first drum teacher started me on a click decades ago, and it's been one of the things I've been so thankful for. Because like you said, Keri, when you get into a scenario where you have to use one, it's like, oh yeah, okay, there's my old friend. Like it's totally fine. It's no big deal.
Yep, absolutely. It is no big deal.
Yeah. And things are not going to be perfect. Like, at the end of the radio day stage, something got disconnected and my bass was,
your bass stopped sounding. Yes.
Yeah. And when we played Sun Radio's Texas Radio Live on Wednesday night, which was a show, but then it was also live on the radio. And, the mic cable had not been coiled properly around Andrew's mic stand. So when I went over there to lean on him and us to like play our instruments and just like we lean on each other some, my bass got caught in his mic cable for a little bit, so that mistakes, quote unquote, mistakes or like
things are going to happen. Yeah. That's the beauty of live art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And that's fine. But it's not going to fall apart. We've got like that foundation. And so those weird things that happen are just like the weird thing that happens because it's rock and roll,
Yes. Right. Because it's rock and roll. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Erin and Keri, thank you so much for everything, for taking your time, sharing all of this stuff. It's for performing, for reaching out, for all of it. I'm so happy we got to meet and I got to see you play and all that stuff. It's fantastic. So where can people find you? Yeah, you're welcome. Where can people find you?
Oh, great question. Our website is parkerwoodland.com. So ParkerWoodland.com. And we are on Instagram, Parker Woodland Band, Facebook, TikTok, all the places. And, when people reach out, I love to connect with other musicians, other music lovers. When people reach out on Instagram or wherever, like I'm the one who will write back to you. And so I encourage people to be in touch. Like our relationship with fans and music lovers is a part of this joy for us.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Thank you. There is one last thing. There are 3 words that sort of comprise what we do and why we do it here. So if you would, I say it all the time, but if you would be so kind, I'd love one or both of you. I don't know how the timing would work with all the electronics that we have here to share those 3 words for me, if you would.
We can do this, Erin.
You want to do it?
Ready? No, let's both do it. We can do it.
And does it work that way? Is that how the internet works? Will you hear both of us,
sure.
Dave?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's about to happen.
You
It's
say
rock
the
and roll.
first word. You say the first word and the third word, and I'll say the second
Okay.
word.
All right. Everybody, listen up. Always
B.
performing.
There it is. Well done. I love it.
Always.
You can
be
tell
performing.
you play in a
Always.
band together.
Always performing.
You know what I didn't say, Dave? I don't
What's
know
that?
if it's me, but obviously people can find our album on Bandcamp and they can find our music on all the streaming places, and we would love to hear what they think of the music.
Amazing. I'll make sure all of those links are in the show notes so that everybody can find it at giggabpodcast.com. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next week.
Thank
Always
you.
be performing.
Always.
Always.